Hello viewers, welcome to Core for Any. Swift UI taxi drivers apps inside today need to call this here the driver online offline API need to call this years and also testing here the update locations API callings. Let's start how to write downs inside the Swift UI. First of all, need to create here the driver view models, need to develop here. Now need to find out here the view model folders and inside we need to create here the new Swift UI files need to develop here. Click on new files and to select this here the Swift UI view and click on next. Then give this here the name driver view model and like this we need to create here and now need to clear this here and to develop create here the class driver view model. This here the observable objects inside we need to create here the static where shared variables we need to declare here is equal to need to write down here the drivers view models initialize and create here the singletons class into these variables. This class initialize only one times and to use this here the many times and any view inside need to use this here this observable class. Now need to declare here the one publishers variables. We need to declare here at the rate publisher and where is online. By default we need to set this here the false and also here the declares here the two publisher variables where show error is equal to set here the false and publishers where error message set as a string blank. Like this we need to initialize. Now we need to init measures. We need to call this here the declarations initializations and need to is online is equal to need to write down here the util class dots ud dot valuables and to give this here the declares here the one key names we need to set here. So now we need to open this here the globe files open here and now we need to declare here the types static let is online is equal to give this here the is online. Like this we need to key defines. Now need to copy and to go this here the driver view models and to give this here the globe dots is online like this sets here and also need to call this here the location managers view model dot share dot starts methods need to call here like this calling here and to start here the location sendings need to call this here. Now need to comment this codes because first of all need to explain here the online offline methods need to explain. Now need to develop here the API calls. First of all need to declare here the API callings names. Go inside the API callings and to write down here the static let sv driver online is equal to API URL plus driver online. Like this, we need to call this here the API. Now need this here and to go inside the user home view models and now need to copy here the API calls. Otherwise, we need to write down here mark API calling and now need to write down here the functions API driver online and now need to pass here the parameter as just dictionary like this sets here. So now need to call this here the service call dot post methods need to call this here with tokens. Now need to pass here the parameters and need to give this here the globe dots sv driver onlines and tokens we need to give this here the true because this is tokenized API. Now call this here the success blocks and failure blocks we need to write down here and to call this here. Now first of all need to set here the errors. Give this here error message is equal to set here the error dot localized descriptions msg dot l and show error set here the true. Now need to check here's if let object equal to objects, then to check this here the if response object value for key, and to pass this here the key dot status as optional string blank equal to 1, then successfully gets, otherwise fails. And error message we need to show this here is equal to response object value for key, and we need to give this here the dot keys message as string optionals msg dot fail set here, and also need to show this here the message as a true like this. And now need to copy here and to paste this here. Now need to set here the success, and also need to save this here the status inside the share preference, and also need to give this here the every place at the self dot start, otherwise need to get here like these errors. Need to fix first of all like this. We need to set this here, and also need to write down here the util dots ud set, and to give this here the is online flags set here the globe dots is online like this. Need to configurations are the need this here the online flag, and also need to give this here the self keywords. If you not given self, then to write down here the self here's, and no need to write down here the self like this. You need to write down here's. Now need to give this here, that's one to remove here's, and now write down here the API calls action buttons. Need to call this here the mark as a action. Now write down here the functions action go online here. Now we need to call this here the API. First of all, need to set this here the is online is equal to not is online's flags. Need to set if true then false, false then true, like this sets here the configurations. And now need to calling this here the API, and we need to pass this here the parameters is online is equal to check here is online, then to pass this here the single string as a 1, otherwise set here the 0, and to calling this here like API. And now we need to go inside the home view models user home view models nodes. Now need to go here, opens here the homes view, and need to write down here the view models. First of all, need to write down here at the red state object where hvm is equal to driver view models dot share like this. You need to write down here. Now need to copy here. First of all, need to set here the go buttons. Need to call this here the hvm dots, call this here the update action go online. So need to call this here. Now need to check here the hvm dots is online, and need to write down here the offline op, and also need to again need to check this here the color code go color red app. Now also need to change here the message here is hvm dots online, and we need to write down here the online, otherwise you need to call this here the offline. You are offline, you are online like this message. We need to set this here and also need to write down here the error message you need to show. If you get any errors, then to call this here the alert presents, you need to give this here the dollars hvm dots is show errors, and we need to write down here the contents. Alert, set here the titles as a text, globes dot app names, and now need to set here the message is equal to, need to write down here the text message, and hvm dot error message, and now need to set here the dismiss buttons. Now need to set here the default labels as a text, okay, and need to write down here the actions here like this. Need to calling this here. Now we need to run these apps inside the simulators, and to test this here the driver online offline buttons are API calling working or not. So need to test this here. Now need to run this app inside the simulators. Now build successfully, and now select here the language, then sign in screen go, and to enter this number here the driver numbers 98765432213, and to click on the login as a drivers like this. Need to calling here, and now need to enter here the OTP. We need to enter this here 12345 6, and to submit this here, and to logins as a driver, so need to call this here. Now click on the go online, need to click here, and you are online API callings, and to get this here the response you are online need to API calls are the done this here. Now we need to check this here the update locations API. First of all, now need to go inside the driver view models, and we need to uncomment this codes location manager view models share dot start locations updating methods. We need to call this here, and also need to go inside the view users home view models. We need to remove here these lines because this is the user apps, that's why no needs here to update any locations, but we need to drivers inside need to need this here because need to find out here the real times driver locations, and to sending this here the request, that's why I need to call this here the always sending here the locations of the drivers like this. We need to configure here and to set this here. Let's now need to again, so need to restart these apps, and to test here the update locations, and to allow this here the permissions as a when in app use. I got here the permission issue. Need to fix this here. Need to like this. Need to given here the locations always using descriptions, and this help you showing here nearby drivers, and privacy as a locations when in user descriptions like this. You need to give this here, and also location users descriptions. Both permissions are three permissions are to put this here. Make sure to give this like here, otherwise not working. And now need to restart this app, and now need to asking here the permissions allow whening using these apps. Now give this here the permissions, and now need to go inside select here the simulators, and now need to sending here the locations. Need to go inside the IO location features inside to go this here the locations and to select this here city runs. And now we need to check here the logs here calling this here the update locations API. Also need to check this here the node.js, and we need to check here the response here calling this here the API update locations like this calling here, and to change this here the locations again change here like this need to updatings are the working goods. If you like this video, please give the thumbs up. If you're new user, so please subscribe my channels and press the notification bell icon. You can get every new video notifications and awesome content. If you have any question, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care. And tomorrow need to see this here the accept here the driver requests and rejects request need to see this here the pop-ups and to API callings with the accept and declines API.